Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Richard Hawthorn, and I'm the co-founder of Traintrackr, and we make live LED maps. And so I'll do a very, very brief background on me. So I'm a maker. I like electronics. I design circuit boards. I'm interested in transit, data and maps. I've done many projects. I started the Cambridge Hackspace when I was living in Boston. And I managed to I found a project that combined all my passions into one product, which was this, which is the MBTA tracker, which is basically the Boston subway system, at least sort of a portion of the middle part of the Boston subway system, and it shows live data. So it shows the trains that are arriving and departing in stations in real time. So it connects over Wi-Fi. And then just displays that information, updates it once a minute. I made lots of projects when I was at the Hackspace, and this one stood out. People actually asked about it and wanted to buy it. And I realized that actually I created a company, or I created a product that people wanted. So with that, I made a business, I made a company, recruited a fellow Hackspace member, and we built Traintrackr. So Traintrackr is the business, the company. So we make custom circuit boards representing various sort of transit and map sort of displays. We process live data. Those boards connect over Wi-Fi, and we visualize all that on LEDs. That's currently where we are in terms of the product. I'm sure that will change and evolve in the future, but that's where we currently are. So trains is where we started, and so I'll show you some of our train products. So this is a full version of the Boston MBTA. This is our sort of first full product. You can see a little animated GIF here of what's happening. So this is happening in real time. You can see trains moving along the lines. You've got an LED per station, and an LED in between each station. So you can basically see the trains as they go sort of along the lines. Conveniently for us, the MBTA has a red line, a green line, an orange line, and a blue line. And those line up quite well with the colors of LEDs you can buy. There actually aren't that many colors of LEDs you can buy in sort of single color, but for us this worked out quite well. And here you can see a close-up of the green line, or the three green lines here. So you can see exactly what we've got. We've got the stations and then the in-between stations, with a few of them lit. At the same time as designing this one, we actually designed the dual direction version of the MBTA. People, or we were keen to sort of show direction of travel as well as the general overview. And so here we break out north, south, east, west, and so you can now really see trains moving along, and you can see where they're going. You can see that all the trains on the bottom are going eastbound, and top ones are westbound, for example. We designed this at the same time as the single direction one, and almost no one bought the single direction one. People like the dual direction. And so that's sort of the direction we're going in with our products. And here's a close-up. Again, you can see the same lines, but here you've got dual directions, LEDs for stations, and in between stations going both directions. Now we moved on to the London Underground. This was a trickier one because the London Underground is much more complex than the MBTA. Uses different colors, much more stations, many more lines. And so here we stuck with white LEDs because it was simpler. We also didn't put in between stations. It's just LEDs for the stations. So we've got 333 LEDs, and they show up just when a train is in a station. So the previous MBTAs, they all show trains moving, and you can see basically all the trains. Here you see when the trains are in the station. If we put all the lights on when trains were in stations or between stations, we'd have too many lights on. They'd all be on because there's more stations, there's more trains than stations. We then went for a color version of the London Underground. This one is a lot bigger. This one's about 400 millimeters by 300 millimeters, so it's pretty big. And we used RGB LEDs. So these have got a red, a green, and a blue, all combined into one chip. So you can basically, with these, you can do any color you want. They're more expensive and they're bigger, but you can do the whole set of colors. So that's the large MBTA board, and you can see here the sort of a close-up of what's happening in central London. We also added a copper layer as well to the board for the river, so you can see like a sort of subtle river going through the board, which is quite a nice aspect of that. We moved on to the New York City subway. This again is very complex, similar to London. And so we did one LED per station. The first prototype of this one was actually all white LEDs, but we actually realized we could actually get it just about with color LEDs. The brown line we're using orange, and there's a couple of other lines we had to adjust the color a tiny bit, but this is a fairly reasonable representation. And again, you can see the water is a copper layer here, so you can see a bit more closely. You've got Manhattan on the left-hand side there, and you can see all the lines going around there. So we do lots of transport. We also do maps as well. So this is the UK map, UK and Ireland. And this is our UK rain product. So this just lights up, it connects to Wi-Fi, and it lights up when it's raining, which is quite a lot because it's England. It just, we pass data from weather radar to bring this information. It updates sort of every 5 minutes, this one. And we've got a US version as well. This one's obviously a much bigger area, but you've got the same principle. It takes images from radar and displays them on the board here as rain. So where do we get our data from? Of course, data is really important. Without data, we just have blinky lights that have no meaning. We process the data on our server. Our boards then connect to the servers, and we return that data in a very simple format, basically a set of ones and zeros, or color codes, depending on the product. This is because it's resilient to change. If TfL suddenly changed the way they provide data, we don't want to have to update the software in hundreds of boards out there. We can make one change to our server and it's all fixed and everything works from there. So we get our transit data from TfL, MTA in New York, MBTA. All these services, of course, provide data about where the trains are, arrivals. Sadly, they all provide different data in some way. Some provide predicted arrival times, some predicted departure times, some do schedule times with a second offset for delays, some do vehicle locations, and some have different APIs in different parts of the system to get all the data you need. These usually update once a minute, but basically this gives us enough information to populate our boards and effectively show moving data. And we actually use, although they update once a minute, we actually take the prediction data and pass through that. And so we can actually predict, well, we use the predictions to then move the train LEDs every second over the next minute, because we can extrapolate from their predictions. Rain, the rain data we get from Climacell or Met Office. It's basically, it's a PNG image of pixels. No pixels is no rain. And then you've got, of course, sort of blue, green, yellow, red, which sort of varies in intensity of rain. So that's pretty simple. We take these images, loop through them, and then just save that as a sort of a table of variables that we then send to our boards. This board only shows on and off, but we are looking at ways to display that in color as well in the future. And these sort of typically update every sort of 5 to 15 minutes. There are other sources for data for the weather. So if you wanted to get a temperature map or a humidity map over the UK, you could do that from these weather APIs. You can also get specific data about a very specific area. So we've got some products in the works that will tell you the weather right now in your area, but these are good for generally taking lightning over the UK, or visibility or sun cover or cloud cover over the US, for example. And there's lots of other types of data out there as well. Some of these can be mapped on a UK map or a Europe map or those sort of maps. Some of it is would actually be a sort of a specific product designed, a specific PCB designed for that task. But these are the sort of things that we can look at as well. Or you can bring your own data. So you can either program the board directly with Arduino, it's all Arduino compatible, or you can send us data through our API. So by doing so, you can display anything you want, any business data or any geo data you want, onto a map that we can provide. So what's next for us? More maps. We love maps, and there's lots more subway systems to build. There's lots more geographic maps to build. So we're looking at doing that. Expanding into different types of data is important for us. Larger maps, we've got a plan for a big MBTA board we're going to work on. And in custom builds, if people want custom boards done for custom data, we're keen for that as well. So we're a customer-driven company. We started this because we got positive feedback at that hackspace. And we live that every day. We rely on customers to give us feedback and tell us where they want us to go. So that's my ask for you. What do you think? Where should we go with this? What should we do next? That's my talk. I'm Richard Hawthorn. The website address and email address and my social handles are there. What should we do next?
Thank you very much, Richard. Very impressive product, and it generated a huge number of questions. So apologies that I'm not going to be able to ask all the questions. First question: if I hook it up to, is there any way I can hook it up to my mobile and actually use it as a navigational device on the tube?
Yes, if you put your mobile into hotspot mode, you can then connect your board to your hotspot, and yes, you can walk around with it in your pocket. Well, not your pocket, it's too big for the pocket, but you can hold it in your hand, and you could use it to navigate.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, maximum geek points to whoever does that. Another question. This came from JP, who is one of the makers of a service called OwnTracks, which is about privacy-focused tracking. And he asked, do the boards need to connect to your servers, or is there any mode where you could have your own data server and use the board just for the visualization of your own data as a kind of privacy?
By default, the boards connect to our servers, but you can do whatever you want with them. So yes, you can certainly take the boards and program them with the Arduino and have them display any data you want. Connect them to your server, connect them to your phone, connect them to anything you want. Yes, that's definitely, it's not the default, and we provide the data for free, but you can do whatever you want with them, and you can make them do whatever you want. Yes.
Very, very cool. Okay, that's all we have time for. But yes, very nice.